Good evening, everybody. Thank you for much time. Thank you so much for investing your time with us in this Wednesday evening. My name is Denis Romas, and I'm a senior game designer at Innovecs, and I will be your moderator in this panel. Today we have an amazing panel on how to make a hit in hyper-casual insights and recommendations, where we'll be talking about what is hyper-casual game, who plays these games, how long has it been trending, and where does it go, how to come up with hyper-casual game ideas and develop a framework for your production. Our goal today is that whatever role is in the game industry, you will come away with something, a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that you can apply to be more successful in your hyper-casual game development. So the format of our evening will be as follows. We'll take a few moments for each of our panelists to briefly introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their background in the industry. And then I will kickstart the conversation asking questions regarding our highly anticipated topic. And at the second half of our panel, we will open discussion with questions from our audience. Sounds good?
Sounds great.
Great.
Amazing.
Let's start
let's
with
try.
the panelists introduction. Who will be first?
I can be
Rotem.
first. Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Sergey. I'm from Azur Interactive Games, mobile, mid-core and hyper-casual publisher and developer, and with total more than 1.5 billion downloads. And last several months, we have about 120 million downloads monthly or even more. And what about me? I lead a publishing team of 6 cool persons, and we do everything to bring some cash to our partners and some fun to our users. And that's what we are doing here. For the last 6 months, my team published such titles as Swordplay, Hitmaster, Towercraft, and some other smaller but still cool titles. So yeah, it will be a pleasure to discuss with you how to make a hit game. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. And who will be next?
I can go next. So, hi everyone, my name is Marina. I'm from Boombit, working with the hyper-casual games for several years already within the industry. Started my career in the digital marketing, so affiliation and traffic side. Nowadays, working with the hyper-casual mostly within Boombit. We are doing some stuff with the great hyper-casual titles as a Shoe Race with a 10 million downloads nowadays, and different other games like a Superhero Race. So basically, it's going to be the great stuff today to discuss everything that what we can do, maybe to learn from each other, to share our points of view. So thanks.
Hey guys, I think I'll go next. My name is Danielle. Very excited and happy to be here. I'm the director of gaming at Supersonic Games as a part of Iron Source company. I started at Iron Source as a business development manager, consulting from monetization, consulting developers about monetization and user acquisition. And I was always very, very passionate about gaming specifically. And then a year ago, we started Supersonic Studios, which you all know. And now I lead all of the publishing team worldwide, which means we get to test all the hottest games out there and bring them to the top charts. We actually have more than 20 games already just from the last year. And I'm very excited to share this panel with you.
All right, thanks. My name is Rotem. I'm the head of games product here in CrazyLabs. I'm managing the game designers, product owners, and everyone who's managing the games for our external developers. We're also managing internal games that we produce in-house. And of course, we're helping all of the game developers out there and the gaming studios to create games and reach the top charts. That's our goal. That's our passion. We create all sorts of games, from narrative and action to puzzle games and simulation games, which we're kind of known for the last 2 years. We create a lot of cool ideas in-house, and some of the biggest hits that we created in the last few years came from ideas that we create here and really form a nice pitch and GDDs for external developers to create, because it's one thing to create great games, but it's another thing to work on trends and see what's hot out there. So not all the teams excel in both. So we're trying to help everyone that we can. And of course, you can play and download our games.
Thank you guys for being here. Sorry. Let's start with our questions. What is hyper-casual game, in your opinion? Or maybe your definition of this genre?
No, here we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is just simple, right? Simple, very simple game that is easy to understand and you can explain without explaining it. So how do you explain a game without explaining it? Maybe without a tutorial, right? It's something that you see, a game that you see a gameplay and you already know how to play, maybe from different games that you played in your childhood, maybe something very familiar, maybe something you've seen on TV, something that goes viral, but you already know the world you're in, right? And you know how to play it. So this for me is the first thing that comes up to my mind. Of course, there are a lot of characteristics where you can talk about different types of hyper casual games, but I think this kind of like covers the main area of that. Let me know what you think.
One more thing I can add. It is well understandable game with low entry threshold, of course, and the most important thing it is that hyper casual game has every understandable and intuitive action has pleasant and encouragement response. That's important. So a real deep hyper casual game should has action response, and low entry threshold in this genre.
Something small, entertaining, like satisfying, something with a core mechanic, because here we are talking about something in the core loop, and something that people understand easily, can try, love, or dislike, something like this, based on something that is very trendy, very obvious, something that you see, something that you can touch, for example, something that surrounds you. That's about hyper casual.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of the things were already said. They say that in poker it takes you 1 hour to learn and a lifetime to master. So here is the complete opposite. It takes you 3 seconds to learn and 2 minutes to master. And if I'm playing a certain hyper casual game for 2 years and you come and play for 2 minutes, we should be on the same level. There should be anything that I can do better than you. And the best characteristic that first everyone can play, and you can play while doing other things. You can play while watching TV, talking to your mother on the phone, waiting in line for something, and you're not failing because you're not paying enough attention.
Thank you, guys. And what do you think? Who plays hyper casual games? What our audience? How many casual gamers are there?
Everyone plays. To be honest,
I think
we start with small children and ending up with like really adults. Our granny, for example, my granny, we can take her like as an example. She's going to play something, because it's easy to understand. About the casual players, actually, it's a kind of hard question because it's going to depend from game to game. It's really hard to identify who the casual player is from the game perspective in hyper casual. So, but if we're talking about who is a player, everyone. So our targeted audience is like everyone you want, me, you, and others, our parents, family, and so on.
I want to believe the same way. I want to believe that this audience is endless. I want to believe that it is the widest audience. And actually, I believe that people who play hyper casual only, they don't even understand they play games. Since we deliver relaxing and healing effect, so we do great job here, guys. And yeah, I believe it is endless. But we will see. I believe as well.
Yeah, I think the same. Everyone plays, and you can see it by the number of the downloads of the hyper casual games, right? So niche games, strategy games, MMO games, they have I don't know how many downloads, but for hyper casual games, you see 100 million downloads, 150 million downloads for a game, and that goes to show that everyone plays this game from ages of 4 and 5 to ages 70 and 70 plus. Everyone plays it. Everyone who has 5 minutes to spare anywhere where they are at, they can play it, and this is where we turn.
Thanks, guys. What do you think? When does it started? What was the first hyper casual game? And how long does it trending now?
They say Flappy Bird was the first hyper casual game,
it's
right?
difficult, man. It's so difficult.
Endless, impossible, and then you don't see it now. It's becoming much more simpler, of course. Yeah, and the main reason, of course, of this growth, I think, is the fact that first people we're turning to the non-gamers, so everyone who has a phone in his hand can play, and they do play it. And also, the attention span right now is so low that you need an excitement. Even if you're talking on the phone, even if you're watching TV, or even if you're watching football or something, which you need to pay attention. I see my friends when we're watching football. Some people play games while they're doing something because they have such a low attention span. And these hyper casual games, they give you the amount of relief that you need. In 3 minutes, you have like a core beginning and an end, and you feel the excitement, and you have a wow moment, and you pass 2 levels because you can't really fail unless you're really not concentrated. And even then, you pass some levels, and it gives you the attention and the excitement that you need for that specific moment. So it's also riding on a trend that's going on globally these years.
You have good friends, Rotem. My friends play match 3 games.
Yeah.
you have good friends. Cheers to them. Cheers.
Yeah.
I love match 3 actually. It's really nice. But if we're talking about the hyper casual, yeah, obviously I can agree with Rotem and with everyone. So yeah, it's about the lack of attention, and of course it's about the killing time. Kind of great expression here, right? To kill your time when you're standing in a line, you do not pay a lot of attention. What are you doing? Like what's happening around you? You just do some actions, tapping, and you understand, oh, that's great. I just want something. So it's more about like killing your time, spending it without any kind of a serious thoughts, what's going to happen next, how to survive, how to do that or this. Like it's about it.
The question was when actually, and I remember game Stack by Ketchup. It's about maybe 6-7 years ago. If you speak about such games as Stack. But if you speak about such a trendy way to produce games to bring some money, when all developers all over the world know about this genre, and I think it has been trendy for last maybe 3-4 years. But if you speak about initially, if you speak about first truly hyper casual titles, yeah, maybe it was Ketchup about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, but everyone remember any game from Android much older, which can be also treated as hyper casual, but
maybe even Flash games.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, guys, thank you.
I see we
Danielle.
lost
one
person.
Yeah, we lost Daniela. I hope she will reconnect to us soon. Let's proceed to our next question. How to come up with a framework and design for a hyper-casual game? Where to look for motivation and inspiration?
I think we already started a bit of that topic, right? So
Yeah.
like if you're talking about the trends and everything, just look around. Yeah, the design is about like I don't know, it's like a system. Yes, it's a core loop.
Hey,
and everything that we see in a hyper casual, it's mostly like something that you do on your working place, something that happens in a politics, something that happens around the world, all of the disasters, everything you like or dislike once again. And for sure, the greatest one nowadays is TikTok, right? Something that's booming. Those guys like influencers or something like bloggers, they talk about something like how to cut bread properly to have the perfect size, or how to paint your nails. Sometimes I use a lot of life hacks from TikTok. Yeah, definitely, it's about it. I love TikTok. So, and in most of the cases, the designers and game design, so we start the framework out of here to find the inspiration everywhere, to talk to people, to just look around, see what you see. Yes, like tautology, but still like try to understand it and then try to recreate in a simple mechanic. And that's going to be the great stuff.
I think if you're not like thinking about 3 or 4 different game ideas a day, you're not part of the hyper casual system. If you're not like when you throw out the trash and you're trying to recycle and decide which trash to throw it into, and you don't think about an idea for a game, it's it's surprising, but definitely TikTok is a strong place, and everywhere, right? Where sometimes we're thinking like anything that everything that happens now with the cryptocurrency and the new Dodge game is also relevant, and I think it can happen from everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you don't use any social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, use now. Try it like today. This is the best tip I think we can give you guys. I use TikTok now, and other than it making me feel really old, as opposed to everyone else who's using it or creating content, it gives us a great deal of ideas. And just by also YouTube, I mean, if you search soap cutting or tie-dye on YouTube, you will see videos with tens of millions of views. And if that doesn't ring a bell here, and you have to have a red alert when you see a trend with tens of millions of views on YouTube, and you just say, if there's nothing like that, I should do it right now.
Okay, but let me add some words as well. If we speak about framework, it's always about discipline, and let's speak a little bit about actually game development, not just ideation. If you speak about game development, it's about discipline, and as I told you before, every understandable action should have intuitive action. Intuitive action has a response, pleasant response. It is widespread mistake. Our users, I believe, don't like to wait. They want immediately get some reaction. They want this experience. Our users don't like random. They want to understand what they're doing, and the gameplay should be well understandable and clear. One more widespread mistake is progression. Guys, that's the pain. Progression is widespread mistake. Progression in hyper-casual games, from levels should not become more difficult and longer. It is widespread mistake. The thing with progression in hyper-casual is about level design approach and about about implementing new mechanics smoothly and remaining the same balance. So you should give this illusion to our users that the game becoming more difficult or maybe more interesting, but actually the balance itself remains the same, and users should have this illusion of progression in his skill, and that's what we have in really hit game with really deep core gameplay. Because always I hear this question, okay, Sergey, you always speak about deep core gameplay, but what is it? What is deep core gameplay? So yeah, deep core gameplay gives you this feeling I described above, and that's what I can share with you if you speak about framework. Yeah, it should be discipline.
Thanks, guys. What do you think about the Google Trends and Facebook Audience Insight as sources of the ideas for new games?
We're actually using a lot of Google Trends to check what's hot right now, and we can see, if you check Christmas, then you will see like this, right? It's fun every year. So we used to try a lot of Christmas games, and it never works. I don't know, maybe someone cracked it better, but we should look for something that wasn't trendy in the 50s. We don't care about that, maybe as a retro kind of thing. But we should look what's trendy right now, what people like, what people are I don't know, dressing like, doing with their hair, doing with their nails, what fun activities they have right now. You can, if you want to see the best trends, go to the App Annie Top 100, and you will see so many big trend-based games, and that's how it works.
Thanks. Okay, we have a brilliant idea. And how long does it take to make this idea to a hyper-casual game? What do you think, guys? What's the best practices in the hyper-casual game development?
I think obviously the first answer, it really depends on the game and the subgenre, right? We've seen a lot of content-based games that you'll need a lot of text and story behind it, that it takes more time to build and more iterations, right? Mostly with hyper-casual games, you can understand from the first MVP, from the first core game loop of the game and the retention, if the actual gameplay is interesting enough or not. You should be able to see around more than 30%, 35% and up day one retention without any levels, right? With the 3 first levels in the game, this is kind of like something that is always right. So if the core in the game is interesting enough, is fun enough, you can see it in the results right after. So it can go from like 3. I can go from like 2-3 weeks of creating a game and having it ready for ads to also 2-3 months, right? Everyone knows that, depending on the game. But I'll say that this is the strong thing, is like you should see some sort of interesting metric from the get-go, right? Like interesting gameplay, playtime. So when I say interesting playtime, is I say above 700 seconds of playtime, an interesting retention you can see from the get-go, also with a low number of levels, of course, depending on the length of the level and the actual game. But this is something that some developers might forget, and they will think, okay, maybe if I add more levels, maybe if I add different stuff to the game, and you can see from the get-go if the game is interesting enough or not.
Fully agree with Daniel. Yeah, it is also a widespread mistake when our partners think that a lot of levels will bring them good retention rate. But yeah, strong core gameplay really affects the retention rate. And yeah, you can have 3-5 levels and have retention rate 35 and even higher, because users don't even notice that levels are the same. They have they have such cool emotions from these playing fact, yeah, and then they don't pay attention to it.
Some internal information, actually, a funny thing, like with Bazooka Boy, I think we had like 3 levels and 1,500 seconds of playtime, which is what it's a long time, right? And the day one retention was also over 40. So yeah.
I agree.
Nice.
I don't think we have anything else to add. We all have like the stories of a game that was a hit before it had levels. We had Tie-Dye with 1 level with over 40% day one retention, because the core game was just perfect. Somehow it was executed brilliantly. And we have games, whatever it is, with 25% retention rate, and we're saying let's add 100 more levels. And you guys are right. You need to crack and just also look deeper in the level funnel, check your statistics, and see where the users churn. Because you can add 1,000 more levels, it will never increase the retention. You need a very strong core to do it.
I can agree with guys totally. So mostly it's going to depend on a game from 2 up to 4 weeks. So it depends on the situation. So if it's going to be something more polished, something with narrative, for example, it's going to take you more time to implement it. With the idle and merge games, the same. So it's going to depend on the situation. The same on our side. We tested a lot of different games with different results, and yeah, adding lots of levels without interacting people, right? Without adding new mechanics, without adding new kind of art or visual aspects, sometimes it's not just going to work. You just need to test as much as you can. It's about hyper-casual. It's about the new approaches and the perspective.
What do you think, guys? How many game iteration does it take before the title release, usually?
Depends, once again. It really depends. With the shoe race, for example, we just launched it with the version 1.1, so it was released already. So with other game, it's going to have like 5, 3, 7, I don't know. We're just going to test once again the metrics. Hyper-casual is driven by data. So in most of the cases, you need to see the interest in LTV or ARPU. So it's going to depend on the situation, the same with CPI and retention rate.
Yeah, as well as we had in Hitmaster and Swordplay titles, it was almost ready from the very first build. However, we still iterated, making a lot of A/B tests. Yeah, it depends. It depends on whether there is a space to grow, or you think it is already can be scaled well, and yeah, it should be, of course, tested at ads networks. So it depends on the speed of testing, of QA, from the sources of your partner, I mean developer or publisher, and yeah, it depends a lot.
I think one last thing, I agree with all of you guys, and I think it's a question that we ask ourselves on the day-to-day, both developers and publishers. Like, is it the right time to go? Am I ready? Is it cooked enough? Is it baked enough? And I don't think there is a right answer to that, because you can always push it more, polish it more. You can always add more levels. You can always add better progression, better store. And I think you need to find the right balance. Both publisher and developer needs to find the right balance, and obviously have the benchmarks where they won't suppress or they won't go under. But it's a really good question, and at the same time, it's a hard question to answer. But yeah, like balance and try to squeeze the lemon as much as you can. At the same time, you don't want to lose the momentum, because the momentum is a very important aspect here, right? We're talking about trends. Most hyper-casual games are all about trends, and we want to publish as soon as possible. So you need to keep that in mind. So I guess the best practice is just to test with like test logically, use A/B testing, try to test as much as you can with different groups, right? And try to do it in an organized way. By organized, I mean not test too many updates on one build, and in order to understand what changes affected your game, and follow the data.
Go data.
Yeah, data-driven design. It's all for our hyper-casual genre. So the next question, how do we market hyper-casual games? Where do we receive our customers or gamers?
So first, it's the social channels. I mean, social channels are CPM driven, so most of your early adopters will be costing less on social channels, meaning Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. And then we also expand, of course, on all the ad networks, on the CPI-based networks. We're turning everywhere that we can find, users. I mean, as we said, everyone, even the non-gamers, are gamers in our opinion. So we target everyone, and we want to target everyone through every channel that we can. Of course, the ads should be very strictly related to the gameplay, at least at first. We don't want to, fool ourselves or lie to ourselves. Oh, I had this great clickbait or a misleading ad, and it gave me a CPI of 3 cents. No one cares about that. The early adopters, they need to see the real gameplay of the ad. Then after you add 50, 60, 70 million downloads, then you can start, the UA tricks and hacks that we all love to do and we all love to see, and the crazy stuff and the real life videos and the weird stuff that it's not even in the game, but it doesn't matter. We just want to get the users. But if initially we market the game, the core gameplay, everywhere we can, including social channels, networks, CPI, YouTube, influencers, whatever we can get.
Yeah, I can agree here.
We can also talk about platforms, for example, alternative stores, Huawei Store. If your game is not already published by someone in Huawei Store, you you have a chance to publish it right there. We had also a great experience in Huawei Store. You game to PC and console. I speak about Access.io, and it was a difficult experience, but still a very, very cool one. But yeah, if you speak about business for hyper-casual games, the best way is user acquisition approach is ads networks and platforms we know are the best right now. But who knows, maybe in future Nintendo Switch will take initiative as well. Maybe.
We were working a lot, before with the Facebook, with like Instagram, but nowadays we truly understand that TikTok can give you like 50% of downloads of your customers, because it's really trendy with the affiliated links. For example, you can integrate it into AppsFlyer, for example, or something to see how is it going. And if we're talking about like in general, where to get the customers, all of these social channels, the networks, ad networks where you can buy the traffic. So everywhere, just as we discussed, like all of people, everyone is a non-gamer, so like is going to be our audience. So we are not targets like a girl 7 years old with a balloon in her hand. No, we are not doing this way. So we are targeting everyone nowadays.
I think also talking about user acquisition in general, it's kind of like art, doing art, right? It's not something that is everyone's doing the same. I know each and every publisher is doing it completely differently, also from the iron source perspective. And yeah, it's usually we start with the social channels and then we go to SDKs. SDK is also very big in hyper casual, and you can get them anywhere. Per your question.
Thank you, guys. And let's talk about something more about profitability and money. Are hyper-casual games profitable? And what's the best practice for hyper-casual game monetization?
I don't know if we would even be smiling if it wasn't profitable, right? Welcome to smiling, Marina.
That's why we are
Exactly what I
here.
want to say. Exactly what I want to say.
We're all smiling at our very broad smile. But yeah, it's profitable. It's a good business. Obviously, we have more and more competition. We're all in this room. Again, we're smiling and we have more and more new competition, which means there's always a question like, is it the last year of hyper casual, right? I'm like in this sphere for the past 5-6 years. It's always the same question every year. Is that the last hyper casual year? No, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And like, we don't even know what's hyper and what's casual, right? And yeah, it's profitable, and we have new competitors, and you can see the new players in the market every year, and the new additions and the different paths that the hyper casual games are taking. And obviously, there's a big cake, and it's getting bigger.
Yeah, 2 years ago, everyone was discussing that hybrid casual will bury hybrid casual will bury hyper casual, but still we see that this genre is growing, is becoming more and more deep. And yeah, I like what is going on in this market. It becoming more smart. It becoming more deep. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was, I think in 2019, we started to see a drop in like the skill that people need. Now we see that it's getting deeper in terms of subgenres. Suddenly you have narrative games, puzzle games, hybrid games, games that actually are asking for money from the players. And up until now, it was heavily based on ad monetization. Now we can see games with subscription and in-app purchases and things that you would never see a year or 2 years ago. So it's only evolving, and like Daniel said, every couple of months, right, we see this article, is it the end of hyper casual games? And the answer is no. I don't see an end to it.
And I like this. The thing is that Sensor Tower more often become, notice hyper casual as a genre, because, for example, 1 year ago you would never find hyper casual statement, but yeah, just look, for example, the last report for the Q1, a lot of notices about hyper casual genre.
It's like huge industry with a 6 billion like industry, so you can see all of the reports, and yeah, it's all about that stuff. So like it's just growing, and it's growing really fast. So every day now someone is going to have a new game and it's going to be profitable. So maybe maybe you, maybe I don't know, like who cares? So basically it's about it. It's about profitability, and that's why we're here.
And the cool thing is that all titles still can provide you with good revenue, with good profit. And that's what actually many developers don't know. They think that hyper casual is just about 3 or 6 months, but now we see that 2 or even 3 years, that's okay. And even profit level is going to be the same, or a little bit lower, but anyway, it's still significant. So yeah, that's what I was talking about actually while backstage, that there are old but gold titles and a lot of new cool titles coming, really cool titles, new players are coming, and I like what's going on. That's very interesting to be right here, to live in this time and to do cool games.
What do you think, guys? How the hyper-casual games influence on the wider gaming market? For example, we all remember the success of Fall Guys on Steam and maybe Among Us.
Yeah, I mean, we do see the effect on the wider audience. We see that it's gradually also overlapping other games. If you told me 2 years ago that I'd be creating a narrative game, I would say no. The hyper casual and a narrative game are not nothing alike. And you see that there are hyper casual narrative games now that rocked the charts. A couple of months ago, we had so many. I think everyone here had a narrative game. If it was Chatmaster by Supersonic, we had the Detective Masters. There's the Comic Bob or the Save the Girl. All of these games, and they sit on a cool narrative game. They have a lot of rewarded videos. They're asking for money from the users, which is great. And it's even growing, say, every year, because think about it. Every person born today will eventually become either a gamer or a non-gamer, right? But we actually are targeting both, and single one of them will own a phone. So every year our population and our market grows. This is, I think, the only market, not only, but one of the only markets that is growing every year, and there's no stopping it, since the attention span is decreasing, the amount of phone users is growing, and the non-gamers and the gamers is growing, of course, and that's what I see in the future for that.
We also should remember that stuff that hyper-casual, it's about like test fast, do fast, and about the prototyping. I think it impacts the gaming industry in general a lot. People see it, people understand it. So like if you're talking about mid-core, some kind of a casual projects, right? People understand the way we do. They try to estimate it in their project. They try to do the same. They try to implement it somehow in their games. Because here we have like real fusion of everything. We try to merge different variation, even some non-hyper-casual stuff, but to make it hyper casual, and later it's going to be a trend.
Yeah, and I have one more clear example. As we know, first point view games in hyper casual mainly has perfect marketability, and I noticed that such giants as Gardenscapes and War Robots uses in their creatives this approach. They use this first point view misleading videos, and these videos are perfect. When I saw Gardenscapes creative with first point view, I was just shocked. Brilliant idea, brilliant. And it is truly, it is from hyper casual, no doubts. It is from hyper casual, because such video anyway will have very good marketability and scalability. Yeah. So it's a second blow, not second, but I don't know what is going to be blow, but yeah, it's a huge blow for marketability for such titles.
I think it connects with a bigger question, and the question we discussed earlier about like where does the ideas come from, or what affects what. And I feel like we live in a world that everything is pretty much flat, meaning we're kind of like a creative sponge. We're taking from everywhere. We're taking things that we had, we played in the past, right? I was a gamer when I was 5, when I was 6, right? And I still remember games that I played, and I'm taking ideas from them, and some Netflix show that are not related to. So we're like everything, right? Everything that happens in the world, and that comes to gaming at the end of the day, just like it comes to TV and cinema. And I think you can see it in hyper casual the most, right? It's the fastest, like it's a low barrier, right? It's very fast to create and to make, and it's a beautiful, in a way, it's a beautiful sphere, because it's really about the mass market, and it's really like I love to call it a creative sponge, because it is a creative sponge. Everything that you see the next day can be a hyper casual game, and that's amazing.
Moreover, Daniel, I fully agree with you. Moreover, I like the theory that humankind, any person, can't just design something from scratch. Everything created by human, I believe, this experience was taken over from nature or from previous from previous experience. But anyway, people just can't design something from scratch. Everything is about our taking over experience. Actually, it is a great initial word for cloning topic, but I hope we will not discuss cloning topic.
So nobody's actually copying anyone, right?
yeah, sure. No clones at all.
Thank you. So, where do we heading? What is the perspective of our genre in 2021 and forth?
What do we expect?
Okay,
Rotem.
so first, we spoke about it a couple of minutes ago, right? We're not seeing a sign of stopping. We're not seeing any sign of decreasing. We're seeing signs that the developers and the publishers are working together to become smarter and more sophisticated. You see hyper-casual games with subscription-based offers, hyper-casual games with better monetization. It's allowing us to bid higher in the CPI. If we're getting into a little bit technicality, we're getting higher outputs. We'll bid higher. We'll get more users, more sophisticated users, more users who are actually intending to purchase. And it's like a good cycle. There's like the bad cycle and the good cycle. And this is some sort of the good cycle. We're not seeing any signs of stopping. On the contrary, we do see everyone getting more sophisticated. And if it's the time to give advice to other developers who are listening, is to don't stop creating. Of course, as Sergey said, and he's totally right about it, no one reinvents the wheel. No one is doing anything from scratch. I was a gamer. I'm still a gamer, a PC gamer, and I'm thinking about how to hyper-casualize the PC games I'm playing. The developers are getting more sophisticated, so don't stop creating. Send everything you can to the publishers that you're working with, even if you think it's complete garbage. They will be able to direct you to a place where it could work. And if you work hard, it's different. You can succeed in your first game and you can succeed in your 20th game. But eventually, if you work hard and you follow the guidelines that the publishers give you, and we're not smarter than anyone, right? But we are very experienced. We each test hundreds of games every month, while the developers test 2, 3, 4 games every month. So we're just a little bit more experienced, and we can direct you to the place where it could work for you guys. And eventually, the developers who maintain hard work, eventually they succeed.
Good words. Thank you, Rotem. Yeah.
We can share all the knowledge we
everything
have.
will be great because there is a TED rate by Jesse Shell. I don't like actually books by Jesse Shell, but there is a TED rate. I really like this thing about that every game mechanics has aesthetic, history, technology, and something else I don't remember. But anyway, no matter. We see that this TED rate in hyper-casual is growing and becoming better and better. The aesthetic is becoming better, the technology is becoming better, the history is becoming better, and the mechanics itself is the rules of the games are becoming better. So I believe that this genre will grow, and not just like a business, but like art, like games, and will be very competitive genre. And I think that a lot of new users will join us and will play with us our brilliant and cool games.
For sure. I mean, I'll remind you that we, even in the haptics, from a haptics perspective, we didn't have like 3D haptics, I think, like a few years back, and now it's like a must-have in the game. And you can see the high fidelity games doing really well in the top charts, and you can see everything's just getting more and more looking better from every perspective, right? Not only art-wise, that's obvious, but yeah, everything, like better ads, better optimization of the monetization side, better optimization on the user acquisition side, smarter tools. So this world is just developing more and more.
Yeah, we try to implement all of the innovations we see, everything we can, everything in the perspective of a network, ad networks, UA experience from the creative point of view, right? To try something that's like with voiceovers, with famous people on it, with the influencer, trying as much as we can, try to play like an art. Yeah, we discussed it, like creatives and UA, it's like an art. So you're trying to recreate, to play. I know our creative team, it works really hard to make everything they do, all of the videos with us voiceovers, different beeps, then localize the game for like a specific user, because in Russia the user is one, in the USA another one. So you need to find this right word to try to engage the person, because engagement rate is a king. here in hypercasual, yeah, if we're talking about it. So I think it's going to grow into with all of these trends, with the simulations, with all of different mechanics, combining and merging everything that was non-hypercasual before and try to merge it in hypercasual games. I think it's just going to grow, and within next year we are going to make a report, as usual, like everyone's going to say, hello. So this kind of a subgenre is going to grow because we already see it from our top charts.
Thank you, guys. The first part of our panel came to conclusion, and let me read some questions we collected from our audience. The first one, I think it would be interesting to Daniela. Which publisher is the most convenient to test with?
I think it's interesting for all of us, and I don't think there's one publisher per studio. I don't think there's like the big publisher. Obviously, I want to say I'm the best, and I am the best in many things. But I think it's like in any relationship, not every guy is good with any girl, right? And it really depends on what like is important for the developers. Some developers like a certain style. Some developers really want the publisher to build a game and to give them exactly what happens at each level. And some developers are really a standalone and they like to work alone on their own thing. So I think you need to find like the perfect match. And it sounds a bit like cheesy, but I really believe in that. And I know that like in Supersonic, we're very flexible just because we know that each studio is working like way different. Like some of them, they need the ideas, they like to get ideas, and some of them really like to, again, work on their own and not be disturbed. So I really think it's a relationship question, and you should go for whatever suits you most out of all of these like different criteria, of course, business-wise as well. But it's a big picture kind of question.
Yeah, I can recommend, try to catch not only publishing manager, but maybe producer, maybe game designer from publisher side, just to get some feedback. So not just you receive a spam letter and okay, we are the best, let's try, but at least try to understand whether the guys sent you a brilliant spam letter, understand something about fundamental game development institutions, and yeah, that would be good advice.
Definitely, Sergey. I also think you should try a few. Like, don't marry your first publisher, right? Same as I won't marry the first guy.
We receive a lot of letters. Our partners receive a lot of letters from Supersonic. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Don't marry the publisher. Yeah, that's it from Supersonic. Yeah, that's the letter.
Exactly.
That's a great title. That's a great for the business perspective, I think, like for business development to have this title. That's great. But actually, yeah, I'm talking here about relations as well. So you need to build a relation with your publisher. It's not only about money. We're here to make a game. Yes, for sure, we need money. Yeah, everyone needs money. So it's okay, and our developers too. But also you need to find someone with whom you are really comfortable to work with, who understands you, who can support you, who can be your, I don't know, your master in some of the ways, right? So it's about like trying to build a relationship, not for one day, like for several years, for a decade, to become a strategic, partners one day. Why not? It's more about it. So it's better to find this way. Try to find like person who has the same view on life that you have.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with the saying that you don't marry the first publisher. I had a developer who were talking about exclusivity, and he told me that he doesn't marry before he dates, which is a great sentence for life, I think. And yeah, so first, there's a lot of publishers who require exclusivity or expect exclusivity, which is great for focus, and I agree. But also taking the developer side, that they need to check everyone who's giving them what support. If I am a single developer and I need support with tech art or UI, I will go to the publisher who offers me that. If I'm a big studio and I'm looking for ideas because I'm a great executor, but I don't know how to ideate correctly, I will go to that publisher. And you need to check who's best for you eventually.
Thank you, guys. Another question from our audience. What do you think about CTR test? How do you feel about CPI test? How do they correspond to each other? Who is the king?
Well, cash is king always. That's what we learned in university. We were strongly believers in CTR test up until I was 14. Now it's we personally in CrazyLabs we stopped doing CTR test. We're only doing CPI test, and we're not doing it only on Facebook because we all know that Facebook has gone crazy in the last few weeks or months or years. But we're also testing it on Snapchat and TikTok. We're still trying. Snapchat, we know what's going on, but TikTok, we're still trying to find out what is that golden CPI that we used to have on Facebook for so many years. But yeah, I mean, in CrazyLabs, we believe strongly in CPI tests. You can do whatever you want. I mean, in Google Play, it's so easy, right? You can upload the build with a blank screen or video or whatever you want, and most of them get approved. So we just need the attribution, and that's it, and the storefront. Strongly believers in CPI. We're doing it in 3 platforms now: Facebook, Snap, and TikTok. And to not miss anything, but for your question, yeah, I think for now at least, CTR is off the table.
Fully agree with you. Yeah. Be sure when you make with a publisher CTR test, be sure that you don't have any troubles with interpretations of the result, because it can be difficult to interpret and to understand how to move further with this result. And you will anyway make a CPI test, so it is a matter of your aim, of your resources. But yeah, I agree with Rotem that CPI test, it gives us more data to analyze and more space to work in, to grow, and so on.
Yeah, I think also from the I agree with what you've said, and I think also from the developer's perspective, sometimes like it's the same amount of work to come and start recording 4 videos for CTR and for CPI, and obviously you have the full picture. CPI is something else, which we all know it's very dependent on the CPM and the network that it's running and everything else, and it gives you the full picture. So CTR is like, I don't know, 15% of the picture, let's say. And then you have the rest of the picture by not doing a lot. So CPI is more preferable in my eyes.
Just like 2-3 minutes of the content to understand, to test the CPI, to see everything in Edge's CTR for validation, just only to see maybe what setting is working best, what kind of what kind of a mechanic is better to be shown. So yeah, maybe for that, because a lot of people think that if they had like 4% CTR, they hit it, right? They think, yeah, there's going to be the hit game. That's like the biggest like disadvantage out of here. So we cannot understand.
But there are also CPC and CPM.
Yeah,
true. You need to remember that. Yeah, the CPC lower than 20 cents and so on. So yeah, definitely, just a must.
Thank you, guys. Another questions. What is the optimal amount of content for the first test? What is your definition of the MVP? I believe it's about minimum valuable product.
Yeah, it's about 3. It's such called prototype. I don't measure, about content, but maybe about time of unique gameplay experience, maybe, and every subgenre in hypercasual can be different, and but mainly it's about 5-10 minutes of unique gameplay experience. Once again, it can be 5 levels, but very strong core gameplay, so that users will don't even understand that something wrong, and levels are going round and round. And I treat this issue this way, so about 5 or 10 minutes of unique gameplay experience.
I was talking about 2-3 minutes of a content, right? So basically something like this, but for sure, if you're going to have like a huge task with a retention rate, so it's like 10 minutes. We are talking about sometime.
Like, because we mainly make a test to be sure at least for 80% in day 1, and that's why we try to make at least 5-10. But once again, 2-3 minutes. If you have strong core, you will anyway see this big potential to scale it up. And
also definitely also from a marketability perspective, you want to have enough variations to test, so you'll need a few levels in order to show the different variation, different level and difficulty of the game, and maybe different I don't know, creatives. So we usually say, either 10 minutes of gameplay or 4 or 5 videos that are completely different from each other. And then it's also easy kind of for the developer to understand what we're aiming for.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to add that we kept mentioning the Bonanza games who had 40-something percent retention day one, even when they had 1, 2, or 2 levels. We also need to think about the other cases, which are not the edge cases, right? But they're the cases which is a medium game, and it's also fine. And we're also happy to publish medium games because it makes less relevant to us, but it's more relevant to the developers who are working hard. And is, I don't know, $10, $15, $20,000 every month is great. Even if it's nothing for us, it's great for the developers to keep working. So we are expecting a little bit more. I mean, I'm expecting at least 20 minutes of gameplay because I want to make sure that there's none of the users, if the core gameplay is not that great, right? But none of the users finish the content, found it replayable, and they didn't come back the next day, which is not counted as day one, but it should have counted as day one, and then they're failing the test or something like that. So I want to give the most fair chance to developers. I know that it's a little bit more work for the developers, and great games can make it to 40% day one with one level, but we're not only looking for edge cases, and we're looking for any game that can make profit for our developers.
It can be treated as trend, by the way. Looking for not only hit games, but I see that many publishers for the last several months, they're ready to work with average titles because, once again, because hypercasual is a very sustainable genre, and you can be sure that you can provide your partner with good cash flow, and he will work with you because he'll be fully motivated to work with you. So that's going to be one. It is one more point to the first question: how to find the right publisher. Be sure that you have the same, you're on the same page and you have the same aims and view on the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, guys. We have a couple of minutes left. Maybe you have some words of encouragement for our newbie game developers and beginners in the hyper-casual genres.
Play games. You should love games. There is a overseen effect. Overseen, I mean expertise, I mean experience. You have to play a lot because once again, it is cool that we agreed about it. You can't just design something from scratch. It is anyway about experience. So play games, love games, and games will love you. Such a banal thing, but so sorry.
Yeah, also stay
I
on
learned
track.
something.
Also, check the store guide, check the app store, check the top charts, see what's trendy right now, see what's hot right now, see what other developers are doing and other publishers are doing. Make sure you do something which is not under par of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, and adding to everyone, just come ready for a crazy ride, and come. And it's important to really learn, right? It's important to really learn from your tests, from your results, and from what happens in the market, like you said. And I think FOMO is a big word in our industry, because it's something that we have on each game that we're kind of letting go. And the most important thing about not having a FOMO is just to make the MVP count. And it means that try to challenge your MVP, try to look at it from different perspectives, even if it's a camera perspective or it's a control perspective. I think this way you can minimize the FOMO that you have and be sure about leaving the game behind you or continuing to the next iteration and to improving it further. So this is
Invest in your studio, just like in yourself. Try to learn everything you see. Try to learn from everything, just from your fails. Be yourself. Believe in yourself. Yeah. Try to be confident in what are you doing.
Thank you, guys. I think our meeting was very productive and inspiring. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Good luck.